how would you like to make your first millions? And today we have one of the founders of Yale L. Davis Enterprises. And Yale Davis Enterprises is a purpose-driven family office for acquisition, investment, and consulting. So they manage a e-based portfolio across real estate, technology, business consulting, and human capital management. So just tell us, what are the 5 steps that you recommend entrepreneurs in order to make the first million?
Welcome to Unstoppable Podcast with Harry Sardinas, inspiring conversations with influential millionaires, investors, thought leaders, entrepreneurs who are making a massive difference with their innovative products and services, and sharing the challenges and wisdom of how they sold their first million.
Yeah, so there's definitely a number of steps, but if I was to pick 5, I think the top 5 for sure is you got to figure out a business that you can solve a problem. So there's obviously got to be a market for that business. Ideally, something that you believe in and you're passionate about. So that's really important. And then obviously from there, it's picking the right model. So you got to try to, my always suggestion, something with reoccurring revenue, a high margin business. So first is solving the problem and picking the right model. The second, this is one I had to learn the hard way, but I think it's really important as quickly as you can to get out of the weeds as early as possible, especially with like the administrative duties. So the second part is I always tell people you're doing a startup or buying a company, make sure you get a very strong executive assistant that you can delegate all the administrative tasks so that you can focus on leadership, sales, and whatever your business is, the delivery. So that's the second. The third, and this one is if you really want to scale to $1 million in revenue, this one's very important. You got to get the right people in the right seats. And what I always tell our group of companies or businesses that I'm consulting for, you got to really focus on getting A players and the right people in the right seats. Because I personally believe, skills can be taught, but that character, the values, aligning with the vision, that's very hard to kind of teach someone. So that's something very important. So the people, so that's third. The fourth, this took me a while in my career, but building systems with technology that can automate. So I think that's very important. I always say growth without systems is just chaos moving faster. So very important. The fourth one, systems. And the fifth one, I always say this to anyone getting in business, always plan your exit. So even if you're not going to sell the business, you always want to build it that you build it like you're going to sell. And I feel if you build it with the right people, the right systems, building it like you're going to sell, you actually might not want to sell at all. And you'll actually run a business you enjoy building. So I'd say those are my five important things to $1 million.
100%, and this is about scaling up. I remember the first time my first business was in property, we managed to sell over 5 million. And I remember that when I was thinking to expand my business, I said, okay, I have really a small mess here, and I think if I expand this business as it is, I'm gonna expand a big mess.
Totally.
So we have to check about systems, and before think about expand,
Yes.
organize, have some systems. I had to learn this on the hard way also.
Yes, me too.
Without knowing, you have a small mess, and you say, "Oh, let's expand." And when you open your eyes, you expand a big mess.
Yes,
and
for
then
sure.
you have to tie double this, and it takes time, a lot of system. So just tell us, the fact that people could be a good entrepreneur, that doesn't mean that they're good investors. They are a difference, right? The entrepreneurs, they create a product, they sell it, and they create revenue, and they grow a company. Okay, and sometimes they exit that company, and now they have some capital available.
Yeah.
But again, become a good investor. The more it's skill based, like you just say, your skill can be taught. The more you practice, the better you become. But not because you are a good entrepreneur, are a good investor.
Yes,
And
I
you
agree.
see, I've been cases, a lot of entrepreneurs that lost a lot of money because investing in the wrong things, in the
Yes.
wrong vehicles. So tell us a little bit more. What are the difference? Because I think this can have been lost in translation. Oh, this is a great entrepreneur, so he can become a great investor. Also, on the other hand, the investors, they are good entrepreneurs.
Yes.
From the other hand, works actually better. It doesn't work two ways, but
Yes.
a good investor definitely is a good entrepreneurs because if they want to pursue, they do have this the skills, and the concept is different, right? As an entrepreneur, you have the product and you sell it. Whether when you're an investor, is the dynamic is different. The money goes out and goes and work for you and do the
Yep.
job for you, right?
Yep.
So what are the key things or that entrepreneur should be looking at in that path to become a good investors?
Ooh, that's a really good question, and it's something that I'm working out myself as well, to be honest with you, Harry. So, yeah, I've built and scaled multiple companies. I've had a few exits. I had one substantial exit to a private equity backed firm, and once you have that capital as an entrepreneur, you're used to running your business and you're used to controlling your own destiny. So once you have capital, especially after an exit, or if your business is, cash flowing really well, you got to figure out what to do with that money. Um, for me personally, I love real estate. So real estate has been something that I've always been passionate about. So I've always, as we made money in our operating companies, we've invested into real estate, and we've been fortunate and blessed that we've done quite well. Obviously, right now, I'm in Canada, and obviously we do some business in the U.S. as well. Yeah, it's challenging. Real estate can be challenging with interest rates and things like that.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. So, yeah, I would say, and then you obviously there's investments into the market, right? So, investing into the stock market, and so that's something that I have been doing. I did a little bit of it when I was building and scaling our last operating company, but now as I'm transitioning into our family office and doing some more acquisitions and acquiring businesses that, to be totally honest with you, Harry, I'm really comfortable with that. I like controlling my own destiny, but it's also good to diversify into things and make investments. So the
Hundred
thing that I've
percent.
been learning,
Hundred
the thing
percent.
that I've been learning is getting the right advisors. So you got to find the right advisors that you can trust. So people that partner with Loretta and I to, make strategic investments that we don't actually control. So yeah, I would say I'm slowly getting there, but I still, to be totally honest with you, I do struggle with it. I like investing, buying a business, having control of that. But once you get to a certain level, it's good to diversify and make other investments. And the key is you got to get around the right advisors, investment advisors, and people you trust. And so we're fortunate we're building that team right now.
100%. And the so one out of we already interviewed with 500 millionaires in this podcast, and
Yep.
one out of five they are property investors, and they are doing
Yep.
property in some form.
Yep.
Uh, so my question to you, we ask this to all the property people, right?
Yep.
Can you tell us the good, the bad, of the ugly of the property investment? Because the people,
Yeah.
doesn't matter what we say here, the people listening to the podcast, they see that one out of 5 million is not doing property. It doesn't matter that what I say, guys, be careful. It's an industry that, is risky. Something goes wrong in real estate.
Yes.
It's a lot of money involved.
It
Look
is.
now, the
Yep.
interest rates, things can turn around. It doesn't matter what I say here. People listen to the podcast, they see a
Yep.
frequency, and we all can agree. The statistic of this podcast reflects that real estate is a good vehicle to build
Yep.
wealth. We cannot deny that because even the people showing up here and the broadcast they are invited from all industry. It's not
Yep.
considered that one out of five or 500 millionaires are doing real estate in some form all over the world and so
Yes.
on. So tell us, Josh, in your experience, what are the good, the bad, and the ugly of become a real estate? And if it's that easy to become a millionaire in real estate, Your opinion, yeah.
Okay, so my opinion, real estate is one of those vehicles that, at least I'll talk about from my perspective in Canada and what we've done in Canada. Um, Me personally, I really like commercial real estate, and it really aligned with the different business ventures that we did. So, obviously acquiring some sort of commercial real estate that we can fit our operating companies in. That's obviously a good strategic move for our business. And then if you can, get a bigger footprint and get some income from that on, business clients and things like that. I personally, I really like the commercial real estate. Residential is good as well. My wife and I, we've done some residential. I think we've had a good 10-year run here in Canada. The past couple years obviously has been challenging with, refinancing, and especially, in we live in Vancouver. It's very hard to have cash flowing opportunities. We've really rode the wave of appreciation. So that's something that I think is challenging right now in real estate. And the thing that I always tell people that invest in real estate, and it's something that I learned from mentors, is like, obviously when the market's hot and you're getting the appreciation, things are good. The real estate, just like anything, there's cycles, and we're in a bit of a down cycle here in Vancouver and in Canada. And so the way that
All
we
over the world, I think, is the down
exactly,
cycle of the real estate.
exactly,
US
and
is taking a hit also.
yes, big
Prices
time.
going down, house prices going down in US also. Yeah.
Yes. So, I mean, in Canada, we're fortunate the prices are still strong because we're landlocked, right, with the ocean and the mountains. So we're pretty fortunate here. But yeah, something I learned early on is don't over leverage. So don't over leverage too much for the chances of the down cycle. So that's something we've been really conservative with on the not over leveraging too much and just being prepared. Like you want to buy a quality asset that if you had to, if you can hold on to it for 10 to 20 years, buy something that you're okay holding on for 10 to 20 years. And, I've seen multiple cycles up and down. As long as you're investing for the long term, you're willing to hold, I believe you should be fine. But if you're just looking for over leveraging, quick wins, I mean, you have a down cycle. I mean, that's
Oh,
when I've seen lots of guys been totally wiped out in real estate. So
oh
I've
yeah.
always been
Tell me about it.
conservative. Yeah. So, yeah, fortunately, I just learned early, be conservative, find assets that you're willing to hold on for the long term. And yeah, don't over leverage.
Mhm. So now, really, uh, regardless acquiring a business. So one thing is that you acquire a business and you have total control. Yeah. Completely different ball game is you are participating in a business and somebody else is running, right?
Yes.
So tell us about this process because at some point, if you want to grow, I'll tell you this story because I remember when I started my first business, I was this, you don't know any better. So I was this person, telling you 18 years ago.
Mhm.
I'm the big boss. Everybody has to do what I say. I'm the big deal
Yeah.
here. You make it. You
Yeah.
go. My first business, I was doing rent to rent in London. It's a real estate. I was renting property, renting back again. So, of course,
Yeah.
you make a lot of cash flow, a
Yeah.
lot of money. You don't own anything, so the business is brilliant. You have very low costs and very good margins. So, but I remember I started to go to the office like this with this. I'm a big deal. Everybody had to do what I say and so on. And all of a sudden, I end up in a situation I was exhausted. I was thinking, it was at one point we have like 177 tenants. They all want to speak with me. They don't
Yes.
care if it's at 3 a.m., 4 a.m., because,
Yes.
they even want to go on holiday or they bring a family member and, they need authorization. They knew that Harry
Yep.
is the only person that can authorize that. So they all want to speak with me. It doesn't matter 4 a.m. It doesn't matter if I don't
Yep.
sleep. It's okay with them.
Yep.
And then I have all the employees coming to tell me, Harry, how can I do this? How can I do that? And I'm going home and thinking, these people are going to kill me. They're way too
Yes.
many. So I decided to surrender that ego, yeah, our
Right.
survival,
Yep.
and to start to work with the team. One of the things I did is I called my manager. His name was Eva. I said, Eva, look, from now on, you are Harry. What? Yeah, you are Harry. So everybody want to talk to me will talk to you,
Yep.
and you
Yep.
solve it. You do whatever they want. If they want to bring whatever, you say whatever you decide is okay. You are Harry from now on. I remember I did that, and with the team I did that. I put something in the office that say, okay, if you have a problem, just propose
Yep.
2, 3 solutions, and you pick your favorite. We evaluate that, and if
Love
it
it.
works, it
I do the
works. If it
same
doesn't, it
thing.
doesn't,
Yep.
and we keep going because otherwise I'm thinking inside this. If I don't do this, people are gonna kill me. And
Yes.
then guess what happened, Josh? One day I arrived to the office and my manager Eva told me, Harry, go
Yeah.
home. We don't need you here. I'm like, what? So you don't need paper in the photocopy? Who's gonna bring you the paper in the photocopy? He said, we can get our own paper in the photocopy. Go home. You talk too much. You come here. They told me the only problem in this company is you. That you could have nothing to do. Come here, talk to us. We're
Yep.
busy working this. So they literally sent me home. And actually, the truth was they all of them they were better than me doing the job in the company. But it took for me
Yes.
to let that go, let
Yes.
that control go, and let that thing. I was resistant to it. Same process.
Yep.
But eventually, when I surrendered to it, I got a big surprise. I even get obsolete in my own company. You know what I mean?
Right.
I remember she was going once a month to tell me what she was doing with the company. She was there to inform me, Harry, I did this, I did that. I'm like, wow, you did that. Well, better than what I thought. Ah, you did that. Oh, wow. Yeah, I'm going to take this. I'm going to
Wow.
take this. This tenant is going to move in here. I'm like, wow, this guy's amazing. you know
Yes.
so so when you bring the right people, the company can go. So tell us about, but still, Josh, this I've been in this process. It's very difficult to let go, and it's not just paying because I have employees that stole money from me, deposits and things like that, right?
Yes.
You go to
Totally.
holiday, real estate, a lot of money gets involved, and you send an employee to collect rent, to do this, to do that, and then you come back and the whole money is gone and the
Yes.
person is gone, and
Yes.
so then now you back again. Wow, I'm leaving
Yes.
too much trust to the team and so on.
Yep.
So tell us, you going through this process now. What have been your biggest challenge?
So in regards to like the people side of the business
Yes,
and
exactly. Like
yeah,
like start to have participation on shares or pieces in business that you don't control 100%.
yeah. So I mean it's a great question. It's something I think a lot of business owners and entrepreneurs struggle with. And even in our own business, we could only take the business so far based on our capacity, right? So early on, I thought I needed to be in all the big sales meetings.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
I had to lead the team. I had to do all the recruiting. I had to, obviously I had my wife with me as well, but we originally my thinking was we had to be in control and we had to, be there. And I felt like that was also the humble thing to do as well. Like getting our hands dirty and showing the team we can get our hands dirty. And really, after running
mm-hmm,
multiple companies and getting to that like $2-3 million mark, realized the ceiling was actually because of us, because we
mm-hmm,
were doing too many things, getting our
mm-hmm.
hands involved in too many things. And ultimately, when you do that for too long, you start to get a little bit burnt out as well. So I
Yeah.
learned that in order to really scale, if you want to get to that 10, 50, $100 million mark, if you want to keep scaling your business, you've got to really focus on getting the right people in the right seats. And so that's where I really learned how to recruit top talent, develop the talent. So putting them through leadership training, we build different leadership development programs or put them through, exterior leadership development programs, bring on different consultants. And so that was the thing I realized is like, it's important. You don't just give full trust right away. Trust is obviously earned. So at the very beginning, when I'm working with a new person or a new leader, I'll be transparent. I'm a little bit micromanagey to like get them set up, making sure they're set up for success. They got the right systems, they have the right procedures. But once there's trust, I empower them. And so I had to learn this that, I couldn't do everything. And if I really wanted to grow and scale, And then, eventually we were able to exit to private equity. It was really important to find the right people. And it goes back to what I said earlier. It's like not just people with the right skills and the strong resume, they got to have the right character and values. And it's got to really align with where we're going as a business. So you got to get really crystal clear on that. And then once you do, so I'm able to run multiple companies at the same time. And so the key is I got the right people in the right seats and we have the right systems and scorecards. So I'm able to be able to pulse check, see where things are at. We have our weekly check-in meeting. We run through our scorecards, where things are at for my key leaders. And then the key leaders do that with their team as well. So yes, I'm not involved in all the, meetings and the decisions and things like that, but I know what's going on in our weekly check-in meetings. I can look at our scorecards and I know what's going on in the business, but I'm not in the weeds and trying to control things, all the sales meetings and all of that. So those are two, I think, very important things that I learned the hard way. I'd say it took me a number of years to eventually figure that out. But once we did, our business started to take off.
And especially with the team, right? We have, I remember when building the business with property, right? You don't know. And then I remember to call the plumber and
Right.
and the plumber say, okay, this boiler, this is broken, but we also need to change the fan. And then next
Yeah.
boiler, oh, this is broken, but we also need to change the fan. And I'm
Yeah.
like, man, why always we need to change this fan? And
Yes.
that's completely different conversation than what I have with my plumber right now. I've been working with us for maybe more than 12 years.
Yeah.
That I call him and say, look, the something is broken with the boiler, and he goes to my house, to a property, open it,
Yeah.
fix whatever he thinks, and send me, Harry, is that much? And I don't need to ask him why
Yes.
you do this, why do you know all this time that you waste in this conversation with the contractors, because sometimes they add more. But once you find the right people that
Yeah.
knows you,
Yes.
that understand you, that know how you think, that look after you, and that all you need to do, exactly what you just shared, is just empower
Yes.
and be kind with them and be human with
Yes.
them. That's all.
Yes.
I realized that my plumber were with me. Of course, he has another client, but he worked with me because he likes me, because he doesn't need he have so many clients, right? But
Yes.
there is a very strong connection, because we've been working together for so many years now. I
Yes.
know his family and everything. So it comes this relationship, which is key, because
Yes.
let me tell you, in London in December, when it's really cold, if the plumber is not your friend,
Yes.
you cannot
Yes.
with money cannot be solved. I don't know if in Canada you have this issue, but in London we
Yes.
have it. Yeah. If the
Yes.
plumber is not your friend, it doesn't matter. Money is not relevant anymore. So
Totally.
building this relationship with the team is key to grow
Yes.
and scale businesses. And so tell us, George, how you become an entrepreneur in the first place. Do you have entrepreneurs in your family? Do you read a
Yeah.
book? You saw a TV show? So why you
Sure.
decide to become an entrepreneur?
Um, Definitely because of family. So I'd say, growing up as a kid, both my grandfathers were successful business owners and entrepreneurs. So
Wow,
I was
which
able to.
business they have?
So my grandfather on my father's side was in the mining industry. So he, yeah, dude,
The
with
mining is
junior
big in
mining,
Canada. Yeah.
yeah, very very big in Canada. So he was a bit of a explorer, very, um, yeah, he was a very visionary guy, and he was very successful and well respected in the Vancouver mining community. So I was able to watch that, and then on my and also real estate as well. So I saw him make money in mining and then invest in real estate. And then my grandfather on my mom's side was a mayor of a town, and he was involved in building supplies. So he had a few building supply stores and then real estate as well. So as a young kid, I saw both of them run businesses and invest in real estate. So obviously, I learned from them on that. And then the other thing that really pushed me to be an entrepreneur, Harry, was my parents were great growing up. I never I never
Are they also entrepreneurs or?
no, they weren't. So they were, both hardworking, and I was able to play sports, and I had everything I needed. But eventually, my parents unfortunately ended up getting divorced. They went some through some financial challenges. We ended up losing our family home, and so that was really what sparked my entrepreneurial spirit, was seeing my grandfathers be successful entrepreneurs, seeing some struggles that my family went through, and then I just didn't want to end up in that situation. I didn't want to put my kids through that situation, and I also wanted to be successful enough to help my parents down the road. So those were the
Mhm.
driving factors for me to be an entrepreneur. And then so my goal was, okay, I don't want to end up like that. I'm going to go to business school. I'm going to get a business degree, and then I'm going to be an entrepreneur. I didn't know what I was going to do. So that's the way that I thought was going to happen. And then
Wow.
unfortunately, I was going to business school, and my one grandfather, the mining entrepreneur, he ended up getting sick with cancer, and I was very close with him, and so I ended up dropping out of business school and taking care of him, and that's really what got my entrepreneurial bug. So I spent a few years taking care of him. We did some traveling together, learning about his life and his business career, and so
Wow. Very
that's
inspiring.
yes. So that's really what kind of really sparked it. And then, after he passed away, I just kind of jumped into entrepreneurial ventures, and had, 10 years of challenges and make lots of mistakes, losing money, failed
Mhm.
business opportunities.
Oh yeah.
And then eventually I got there. I married really well. My wife is my business partner, and she a different path. So she's got a business degree, very highly educated, very intelligent. And so, yeah, I think with her combination of her skill set and my, competitiveness, my sales skills, my people building skills, yeah, we've had a pretty good 10-year run together building companies.
So yeah, this gene, all of us entrepreneurs, we have this gene within ourselves, and it doesn't come from family because look, even your grandparents were entrepreneurs, but then your parents
Yep.
they were not entrepreneurs. So it doesn't, and it have been proven this broadcast with the stories. Yeah, even in my
Yes.
family, no one, the only entrepreneur was my grandfather, and have just a little store, and he died when I was
Yeah.
very young, so
Yeah.
I didn't even know what entrepreneurship was when he died.
Yeah.
So we have it within ourselves, and there are some moments in our lives that with this happening with your parents. Yeah, my parents
Yeah.
are also divorced, right? So you this spark uh, goes.
Yes.
You have that ignition that say, you know what? I'm gonna do it, yeah, and I'm gonna go for it, yeah. And lucky
Yes.
enough, you did at the very early age because the interesting thing about entrepreneurs is because that gene is there,
Yes.
it will show up anyway. You
Yep.
could be 10, you could be 20 years, you could be 30, you
Yep.
could be 40, you could be
Yep.
50, but there's gonna be a moment in your life where is gonna flourish. And but here's the thing, Josh, right? Happened
Yep.
to me also. Okay, I always when I'm an employee, I remember that if I was working in a restaurant, I'm thinking, oh, one day I'm gonna own a restaurant. If I'm working
Yep.
in this, I'm always thinking, okay,
Yep.
wow, I'm gonna have one. I'm gonna do it this way. So we always have this conversation in our head. And I remember that. But then my dad got cancer. I was working in London in a pub,
Yep.
and then I didn't have any money to go
Yep.
to see him in Spain, and I couldn't even afford the flight, and I was so devastated. I opened the book of Roy Kiyosaki, Rich Dad Poor Dad, and the next day I went to the bank,
Yeah.
asked a loan for $3,000, and I started the rent to
Yes.
rent property business. You know what I mean? So
Wow.
sometimes, so my question to you is the following: Why, um, for us to spark our entrepreneurship uh, um, dynamic, which are actually very grateful. Sometimes the worst day of your life become the best day of your life because thanks to that, I'm the person that I am today.
Yes.
However, what message do you have for those entrepreneurs that have that gene there? They know that they have it, but still don't find the courage, the confidence, thinking, I wish I'm going to do it, and waiting. So why people have to wait until something dramatic happens to say, that's it, I'm going to do my own business. In this podcast, a lot of people have come from corporate,
Yes.
and COVID came, the girl lay off. Now they're running a successful business, making a lot of money, doing way better than the corporate. And they are like, well, if I knew I will do it, I could do this before, and my life could be totally different, right?
Yep.
Um, so, what do you think that we as entrepreneurs sometimes we need this last push in order to start our own business?
Yep.
Uh, so, what message do you have for those ones that are still thinking and thinking and still because some people, even they have the gene as an entrepreneur, life is amazing,
Yes.
and they don't need that until when they're 50 years old. They go to the corporate job and say, okay, we don't need you anymore, and they're like, what? And now it's way too late for everything.
Yep.
So, okay, so what message do you have?
Yeah. I mean, a couple things. I think, like you said, Harry, I think a lot of people become accidental entrepreneurs because of circumstance, downsizing or, giving your all to a company for so many years and then something changes and, they feel disrespected or not valued and all that stuff. So then that kind of pushes them into becoming an entrepreneur. But I would say entrepreneurship is very difficult. On social media, influencers and things like that, sometimes glamorize, it being,
Mm-hmm.
vacations and freedom and
Mm-hmm.
all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
If you build it right and over the long term, you will eventually get that freedom. And I feel like I'm finally in that situation now, but it was, 10, 15 years of
An interesting
hard
ride, right?
hard work and sacrifice and family time and not giving up and it's not as glamorous as people think. So I feel anyone who wants to be an
Businesses that
entrepreneur.
you put everything and just don't work. Like my
Exactly.
restaurant, I have one restaurant once. What a disaster! Lost like 200,000 pounds, and I did everything I could, and I couldn't make the thing work. I had to let it go
Yes.
after 2 years,
Yes.
and it's
Yes.
painful, right?
Yep. And so that's the thing that I think is important that anyone going into business needs to realize. You most likely will have a failure. Something will not happen and you're going to
More
have those
than one,
more than one. I have
several.
multiple for sure. There's going to be those tough, dark days. So if you really want to be an entrepreneur, you got to have your why so crystal clear. Why am I doing this? For me, at a young age, I didn't want to end up like my parents. I wanted to be like my grandparents. I wanted to be able to be there for my family, build something for my kids, and be able to help people. And so that was like my why to get into entrepreneurship. So you got to have your why. You got to be crystal clear about your why. And then the other thing that I say to anyone who wants to be an entrepreneur, get around people, get around mentors that are further along than you, people that have real world experience, not just theory. Doesn't necessarily mean, a professor at school. You really got to get around someone that you look up to. And if you you look at them 10 years, 15, 20 years down the road, do I want to be like this person? Get around people like that, start sharing with them ideas, and also be a sponge. Learn from them, from their mistakes, from what they've learned in business. And so that was the difference for me. I went, first 5, 6, 7 years trying to figure it out on my own. I'd read all the books, Good to Great, E-Myth, different leadership books, sales books. But really helped me go to the next level was getting around people further along than me, people who have been in the trenches, had failures, success, and people that I really looked up to, and getting that knowledge and learning from them and being able to be a sounding board. That's really what helped me get to the next level as an entrepreneur. So anyone wants to be an entrepreneur, you feel that, that push inside of you. Number one, get your why crystal clear because you're going to have dark, extremely tough days. So you got to have something greater than just being money. Money will not bring you happiness. So you got to have that why. And then the second, get around successful people, people that have, walk the walk. And yeah, if you do that, then yeah, I mean, magical things start to happen. If you got the work ethic, you got your why, and you get around people that are successful, yeah, eventually you'll build the steps and get to where you want to go.
Going to university, the of the education, I always said that I have the best poor dad's parents. You have the book Rich Dad Poor Dad, so I have an amazing poor parents, right?
Yes.
And today all they want from me is just, that I go to university and got a degree and
Yeah.
go. So I went to university, I got a degree in chemical engineer. I never worked as a chemical engineer in my life. I just give them the piece of paper, make them very happy. Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
For me, I'm thinking, did I waste 5 years of my life? What I'm doing here?
Yes.
But anyway, there is a book of Robert Kiyosaki. I believe that it calls "Why Students A Work for Student C," right? and
Yes.
and seeing this experience that I have in that restaurant in London, that I opened in Brick Lane, I lost 200,000 pounds and I had to close
Yep.
it after 2 years of work. Yeah, more than the money. It was 2 years going Monday to Sunday, and I didn't even need it because my property business
Wow.
was doing so well. I could be traveling the
Yes.
world. So I get in this
Yes.
mess for free, like I say, right? But it taught me a big lesson. Taught me, I always hear the people say, well, I want to study a master in business and administration, and I'm going to spend all this money, and I want to start a business. And I'm always telling them, look, if you really want to learn about business, yeah, open a restaurant.
Totally. Totally. I agree.
You will see.
Yes. Yes.
You will see if you're gonna get a PhD in business because that restaurant told me more things about business. Those business that
Yes.
don't work, that you're trying to make them work, you
Yes.
learn so much that actually from the other ones that working very well. So what's your because I'm seeing versus, right, your wife, she went to university, she's an educated in business, right, which is also helpful, don't get me wrong.
Yes.
But what is your opinion, okay, in terms of ah, curiously enough, I never talk spoke in any university about chemical engineering, the thing that I have a degree. And I spoke
Yes.
in several universities all over the world about entrepreneurship and business.
Yes. Totally.
So so what is your take, or what do you think that
Hmm.
the I got my feeling that there is not the right education for entrepreneurs or people that want to be entrepreneurs like us in the system,
Yep.
and if it's so is you pay a lot of money and then you're learning from teachers or from people that they
Yep.
are not business owners themselves.
Yep.
And so, what is your opinion in all these, or how entrepreneurs can find more support? People like young age, they
Yep.
have that gene, they want to become an entrepreneur, but then you go to school and everybody say, okay, you need to have highest mark. Whoever has highest mark has got a better job, and then everybody in your class wants a job, and then you're surrounded with all these and this framework. Then sometimes you say,
Yep.
you know what, better I don't do my company and I find a job like everybody else.
Totally. Yeah, I would say, and me
I'm
personally,
asking you that because you drop out school, and I don't know
yeah,
how you
yeah,
feel about that. Yeah,
yeah. I mean, it was
maybe some
funny.
people say telling you, well, you didn't went to university, this and that, and things like this.
Totally, I had a
So
lot of that. Almost
okay,
a lot of times when people, and obviously I've had a good 10-year run, but previously people would think, oh, maybe you
go
aren't
back
being
to school,
successful
go back
because
and
you didn't, yeah,
study.
because you didn't
Yes,
you didn't get your business degree, or when I've had, so that was like when things weren't working, it's like, oh, it's because you don't have a business degree. Or when things are really working, they're so surprised, like, what university did you graduate
you
from? I
got
was like, oh,
lucky,
I
or you did that because you're lucky. Yeah,
totally. And so I would say, and what I've learned, I actually love hiring MBA grads. I've hired a number of MBA grads out of school, and because I love the fact I think school is really great. Obviously research and theory and, deadlines and, the pressure to be able to,
Discipline, maybe.
testing as well, things like that, understanding the knowledge. So I think there's great things at university. And my wife is like an example. She thrived at university. And so I actually really love the opportunity to hire MBA grads and give them real world experience. So you've got, some good theory, you understand the lingo. Now let's put some of that into practice. And so I've had a lot of success, hiring MBA grads and giving them a chance to get their, hands dirty and try different things and seeing that, 1 + 1 doesn't always equal 2. That you've got to be innovative. You got to be able to.
And probably what they learn about the school is when you go to real life, it becomes a little bit different, right?
Yes, exactly. So yeah, so I enjoy hiring MBA grads and giving them an opportunity to get some real world experience. I've had a lot of success doing that. But yeah, as far as like entrepreneurs, um, there it'd be great if there was like a entrepreneurial university. I haven't heard of anything like that, anything that's quality, but it is something that you just got to learn, the different things about leadership, being a true leader. If you want to build a business, you got to develop your own leadership skills. So you got to be a strong leader. If you want to attract A players and have them working with you, they're only going to work for you if you have strong leadership skills, if you can cast a vision, if you can help people meet their goals and be able to share in the success with them and things like that. So, leadership, putting the right people in the right seats, recruiting, vision, sales, systems, all that stuff. So, yeah, I think it'd be awesome if there was a university that was focused on that. But for anyone that doesn't have that, I mean, when I start out reading books, I've got books everywhere down here in my office. So reading books, getting as much knowledge as possible, biographies, people who have been successful, who've gone through the trenches and had failures and successes, learning from that. Marketing books, sales books, all that stuff from entrepreneurs that have actually done it, I think is really important. And then, like I said, getting around mentors. The other thing that I've, been successful is getting in masterminds. So getting around people that are different fields and different, income levels and revenue levels and things like that. Business coaches. I've had, really great business coaches in my career. But yeah, there's basically, if you want to be an entrepreneur, you got to kind of pull those pieces together, but you got to constantly be learning. Just because maybe you don't go to university, you dropped out of university, I'm constantly learning. I'm reading every day. I'm reading a new book. I'm constantly evolving my mind, because if you don't learn and grow, you're not going to be successful. So I just learn in a different way.
Yeah, and when it comes to entrepreneurship, if you see the record, you will see that there are some entrepreneurs have a lot of degrees in Harvard and
Yep.
things like that, and they're very well educated. But there is a big portion of entrepreneurs out there that they don't even when they had to drop out of school and they didn't went to college and they're doing fantastic.
Yep.
Um, um, they learn in a different way and they understand the values. They even hire, lot of like you do, business people from
Yep.
university. We also work a lot with the university um, graduates and students, and they are amazing, right? They are so clever and
Yes.
so keen
So,
to prove themselves, and
yes.
they want to learn. They really want to learn how the real work life. But when it comes to entrepreneurship, it's a skill. The more you practice, the better you
Totally.
become, right? So when you
Yep.
develop a skill, you have to learn the skill and practice the skill. And theory, you can only drive a car by by getting 100% in the theoretical exam. You also,
Yes.
if you
So
don't, you need to do the practice thing, and I think that you need a real business for that, right?
that actually, exactly. And you reminded me of something that something you just said, and it's something that I learned as well. Is that I'm different. I have my own story. I was, not forced, but I made the decision to drop out of university. I had some tough things going on in my life and helping my grandfather with cancer. So I went down that route. And because I went that route, I learned different skills. I learned, street smarts and how to build something from nothing and try to, I learned different skill set. But what I learned, and the reason why I believe we have been successful, is as you're building a company, you need people that are smarter than you in different areas. So like in our business,
100%.
like so
That's
it's
the whole
like
point.
that's the whole point. You
To
want to
get
you
people more clever than you in the thing.
uh,
That's what I
so
did in my company. That's why they get rid of me.
exactly.
That's
So
the
the
whole
fact is
point.
like exactly. And I didn't have to, I didn't have a chance to go and finish my business degree or get my MBA. So now I'm able to hire those people that have that education and I can provide them a platform, an opportunity, and vision and capital to grow and scale, but they get to use their intellectual knowledge that they've learned in different school programs. So I think that's what I love about entrepreneurship is especially you being the owner, you get to choose who you bring onto your team. You can have different people from different backgrounds, different education, different skill sets, different life experiences, and you put that all together. That is where the real magic happens in business. When you have a team of different people with different skill sets, diverse, different backgrounds, and you come together for a vision and the same goal. That's when magic really happens in business.
If you need to start all over again, would you change this and go back to university, or you prefer this time that you spent with your grandfather, what you learned from him in that period of time that you spent with him is have been more valuable and the biggest lesson that have make a huge difference in your life and become who you are today. So if you had to start all over again, what would you do? Would you
I
go
wouldn't.
back to business and administration and
Yeah.
then business school, or would you go back and do exactly what happened to you, which is you were taking care of your grandparent, but
Yeah.
at the same time, because you have proximity to him, you were
Yeah.
learning valuable
Yes.
life lessons, and the circle that what is possible for you, it become completely different of the circle what is possible for people that go into university and the school, because you saw that this is a person side like me is the conversation that you can have with an entrepreneur completely
Yes.
different than what can you hear in the school. So if you
Yeah.
need to start all over again, what you do? What would you do different?
I wouldn't change anything, Harry. I think I know I made the right decision now. After he passed away, I did think in my mind like, man, what am I going to do now? I don't have money to go back to school, and what am I going to do? How am I going to be an entrepreneur if I don't go to school? So at that point, especially after he passed away, I did feel this like guilt and feeling like, how am I going to make this happen? But those years that I spent with my grandfather, like you said, being in that proximity, learning about business deals, different acquisitions, leap of faith, things going wrong. I really was getting my MBA from my grandfather, and I wouldn't trade that for the world. So it took me a bit of time to realize it. It took me a few years after he passed away to realize, man, that was a special time in my life to be with my grandfather, to learn from him. And I also he showed me different business things. And I go to banking with him and different deals he was involved in, and meeting his old business colleagues. They'd come and visit us. He had a sailboat. We go sailing and do things with some of his old business associates. And so, yeah, for my story, I wouldn't change a thing. But it took me a few years to realize how valuable that was. But regardless, I knew my grandfather was sick and I didn't have much time with him, and family is very important to me. So I wouldn't change a thing.
Very compassionate what you did. Well done. I applaud you for that. So, Josh, it's someone our entrepreneurs listening to this podcast want to know more about you guys and
Yep.
what you do. Can you tell us a little bit more
Yep.
about how what you do? How can you help people and how they can find you?
Yep. So so we have a family office. It's a boutique family office. We're not a massive family office. It's all our own capital. We really like the fact that we can control our own destiny with our investments and our acquisitions. We're not taking outside investments where if you take outside capital, obviously you got other shareholders and things like that. So it's as of right now, it's all my wife and my capital, and we like it that way. So we are doing acquisitions. So we are looking for businesses that fit our vision and our values and that can fit into our group of companies. So that's one part of it. The second part is we have a consulting division. So originally when we built the consulting division, Harry, it was, we wanted to build our recruiting, our technology, our systems, our leadership development. So when we would do an acquisition or make an investment into a business, we would bring our consulting team in to make sure that the business, had the right people and the systems and procedures and all that stuff to grow and scale. So it's something that we built up over a number of years through our own acquisitions. And then once we started doing that, especially after my last exit, a lot of people were reaching out to us to be advisors, to join their boards, to help them with the things that we did inside our businesses. So it started out as something that was going to complement our existing business. And then we realized, there's a lot of people out there that could use real world experience consulting to get, for recruiting, for leadership development, for putting the right people in the right seats, to hiring A players, to developing those leaders, to building the right culture. So a number of years ago, we created a new division. It's called Talent Harbor, and that's how it started. And as we started helping other businesses do that, and I should say one other thing. We also have a technology company. So in our last business, we built and scaled it. We sold it to a private equity-backed firm. We kept the technology. So we do have a technology company, and we were able to consult other businesses to help them put the right systems, if they need to put AI into their company, if they need to put, new technology or build technology. So that's part of our consulting arm. So yeah, as something that we built for ourselves, we realized there's a lot of companies out there that need that real world, human capital side, the technology side, to help them put the right systems and procedures in to help them scale. So it was something that started out to help ourselves, and now we're helping, a lot of businesses. We're consulting with some of the biggest, companies in North America and around the world. And then we're also helping small to medium-sized businesses as well, put in the people, the systems, and the strategy. So yeah, we're having a lot of fun building up that side of the business as well. And we're really growing and scaling that.
That's fantastic. Thank you so much, George, for this broadcast has been fantastic. Thank you so much. And for all
Thank
of
you,
you,
Harry.
pleasure. And for all of you following the broadcast, see you now on our next episode of Unstoppable, how brave entrepreneurs like Josh break that wall and achieve the first million. Bye for now.
Follow us for more interviews with world's most influential, audacious entrepreneurs that overcame challenges and adversity, providing you with the blueprint of how they sold their first million so you can grow your business exponentially.